Hey peeps, welcome back. We are talking The Real Housewives of New Jersey, season 14, episode 2. Hey, before we get into the video, please do me the honors of subscribing to my channel, hitting the notification bell so you can always be notified when I post new content, hitting the thumbs up because that does wonders for my channel, and share. Thanks. I don't know about you guys, but I found this episode to be a little bit boring. I wasn't enjoying myself. Not at all. So let's just get into it. So we start out with Danielle and her family, which, listen, I already said it last season. I'm going to say it again this season. I think Danielle, her husband, and her kids are adorable. They are super cute. It turns out that her bougie kid line has really skyrocketed. But the best advertisement you could possibly get is being on The Real Housewives. You know, the show is syndicated. They show it all over the world. People are absolutely into it. So, that helps. Anyway, we find out that back in 2017, her husband, Nate, had to have brain surgery, and it was pretty touch and go there for a while. So she would like to have a celebration of life party for Nate, and that just melted me. I said, oh my gosh, I can understand that. I can definitely understand her wanting to celebrate her husband's life. She may have never had this family, so I definitely understand wanting to celebrate him, and I think that's amazing. Also, her daughter was getting a new agent, so she was getting new headshots and photo shoot. Her bougie kid line has actually been asked and invited to New York Fashion Week, and that is big. That's big time when you get invited, to New York Fashion Week. It's not the same as, going down to Patterson Mall and, working the mall runway. Anyway, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with working the Patterson Mall because they haven't called me. Okay, I'm just saying I don't have any fashions either, or fashion sense when you think about it. Anyway, I'm just gonna move on. We also find out that Danielle is now no longer speaking with her father. I said, well, shit. You're not speaking to your brother. Now you're not speaking to your daddy. And she says that the reason she's not talking to her dad is because her dad's reaction when her brother returned her present. She says that he wasn't on her side. She wanted him to go to her brother and say that he was wrong. And so she stopped speaking with him. Luckily, she said that Nate and the children still see him and speak to him. So at least she's not keeping, his grandchildren from him. I felt terrible about that. And I thought, am I feeling this way because I recently, just lost my dad? And then I thought, no, I love my dad, and I'm sure that she loves hers too. There's no reason that I would stop talking to my father, especially not something like he didn't take my side in this argument with my brother. I wouldn't want to lose my parents for anything like that. You know what I mean? I think that she needs to sit down and just have a conversation with her dad and explain to him, I love you and I was hurt because I wanted you to stand up for me, but you didn't. And then let them just, work their way through it. Don't just ice him out because he didn't take your side. I don't like that. I also want to say that I still love Paulie's house. It's the windows for me. Dolores has decided that she's going to redo her realtor's license because she likes to keep her independence. And I'm there for that. I really am. It's something about being able to financially stand on your own feet that really makes me feel good. It's something about being able to be independent that I really love. I don't know if it's because my mom always raised me and my sisters to be independent and to be strong. I have no idea, but I don't think that I could ever be the type of person that just sits around and waits for somebody to take care of me. I couldn't do it. I don't think that I would make it because I would always be in fear that they would walk away or leave and then I would be left with nothing. And I never want to be in that situation. My mom has always told me to plan and save for a rainy day. And so I guess that's just my mindset, but to each his own. You know what I mean? Teresa and Louis are going to celebrate Louis's father's 8th year of being sober. And I think that's amazing. I believe that that is a journey that is hard fought. And anyone who survives 8 years, 2 years, 1 year, 3 months, 1 month, they deserve to be celebrated. So I was excited about that. So when Teresa is talking to Louis about Gabrielle going off to college and she starts crying, I'm not gonna lie, I cried too. I understand it. I absolutely understand it. Sending your child off to college is one of those things where you're so happy, you're so proud, you're so excited for them, but you're dying inside too because you are going to miss them. You're not going to see them every morning and every night. You're not going to have them safely tucked away in bed at night under your roof. They're out in the world. So I totally get it. That's why when they had Antonia's 18th birthday party, I cried for Melissa too. You know, I thought that it was just a beautiful birthday party. They told stories and memories of Antonia, and I totally understand it. It's one of those things, you're excited, you're happy, but you're also sad at the same time. You don't want your babies to grow up, and that time just flies so fast. I guess Joe is going to be officiating Nick's wedding. Nick is, I don't know if he is a brother to Melissa or a nephew of Melissa's. I'm not sure, but he is Melissa's family, and Joe was going to be officiating his wedding to his husband, and he was saying how much he appreciates Joe being there for him when he came out, and I think that's also wonderful. I believe that every person deserves to be who they are. I think that every person deserves love, and every person should be able to love whoever the hell they want without people judging them, without people mistreating them. What they are doing has nothing to do with you. So I do appreciate that Joe is there for them. However, what I don't appreciate is the whole, I don't want to talk about Teresa. Don't ask me questions about Teresa. But they do seem to find a way to talk about Teresa or bring Teresa up. It looks ridiculous. I'm sick of it. Move on from this. We find out that Gia is home from school. She has graduated. She is currently working for a law firm while studying for her LSATs. That test is no joke. That test is no joke. Now, I'm telling you this test is no joke, but I haven't taken it. No. And never will. But my brother took it and passed it. Okay. He passed it both times he took it. The first time he took it, he passed it, but he wanted a higher score. So he took it again and killed it. I'm just saying, toot toot to my little brother. Anyway, Gia's studying for the LSATs, and I'm sure she's going to do amazing. Anyway, she still hasn't decided what type of law she wants to focus on. She went into college thinking that she wanted to go for immigration law because she wants to, take care of people in the same position that her father is in. She also would like to find a way to get her father back to America. But now that she's graduated, she's out of college, she's studying for her LSATs, and she's working at a law firm, she's not really sure what path she wants to take in her legal career. So I'm wishing her the best of luck. Now, Teresa invites Danielle and Jennifer over to her house. They're having a spa day. And I said, oh, wow, it looks like a very expensive spa day. They brought this equipment in called M-Sculpt. I said, yes, if I could afford that, I still wouldn't do it. The way that looked painful, no ma'am. Just get me a few laser lights or something. I don't want to have all that pushing and squeezing and vibrating. No ma'am, because that looked painful. My butt is flat like SpongeBob, so I could probably use that. But I don't do pain. No ma'am. I mean, I have almost left work before over a paper cut that I thought was too much. So that goes to tell you about my pain tolerance. I don't play around. Anyway, Teresa went for this treatment. She says it's like doing 50,000 squats at once. No, ma'am. Not me. Can't we just have a little facial today? So Danielle lets them know that for this event that she's having for Nate down at the shore, she's going to be staying at the Fudas. And Teresa says to her, I am not going to ask you to choose sides. If you want to be friends with Rachel, God bless you. That's what she says. But that's not the same. Over on the Fudas side, over on Marge's side, over on Melissa's side, it's you gotta choose sides. And I said, well, why are we doing this? What is this high school shit? I still cannot get over this. I have been in a place, and this has happened, where there's a person in the group that's friends with my friend, and I don't like her. I still was able to come to all the get-togethers, all the parties, all the nights out shooting pool, all of that stuff, and say, hey, what's up? You know, sit down, have drinks with the girl. Even though I don't like her at all, we were still able to get out, have a good time without anybody throwing drinks. No one threw any blows. You know what I mean? We didn't tear anything up. We didn't act a fool. We didn't embarrass anybody. We never get to the point where we get ridiculous like these girls. It's just petty. You know, I would never ask my best friend to pick me over another best friend. I would never do that. All right, so remember how at first on all the Housewives franchises, including the Vanderpump, everybody had to have a little sound bath? Okay, now we're at the point where everybody has to have a little pickleball. Everybody got to play a little pickleball. It makes no sense. Stop this. We find out that Rachel, which I don't know what was going on, but this episode really put a big spotlight on Rachel's nose. I don't know if it was because I was still upset about her and her grandma talking about Jennifer Aydin's nose last episode, but this episode, her nose was really red, and it was just, I don't know, maybe I'm just focusing on that woman's nose for no reason. I mean, anyway, we find out that she was diagnosed at 4 years old with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I never even knew that was a thing. That's because I don't think about stuff like that. I always thought that you had to be old to get a little arthritis. You know, I have a little arthritis in one of my fingers. I said, damn it. What is going on with my finger? It's my one pointer finger on my right finger. And I always complain. And so I went to the doctor and asked her about it. And she said, oh my gosh, you've got a little arthritis in your finger. And I said, oh shit. I'm not that old, am I? Anyway, this is my trigger finger. Anyway, listen, I'm just glad it's not my middle finger. So it turns out that when she was 18 years old, due to this arthritis and everything, she had to get her hips replaced. And I felt so bad. I said, can you imagine being in the prime, in your youth? You are just graduating high school. You're about to get out and, you know, see the world, do your thing, go to college, you know, go to the club, and you have to get a hip replacement. That broke my heart. I felt bad for her there. Now, them talking about Teresa again, you know, the three people, Melissa, Marge, and Rachel, we don't care anything about Teresa. We don't want to talk about Teresa, but we're just going to sit around and talk about Teresa. Anyway, they're sitting around talking about, I can't believe she brought that up. He sold a little pot when he was 17. Honey, listen, the way the blogs is talking about John Fuda, it wasn't a little pot, and it wasn't just when he was 17. Allegedly. This is what they putting out there on the blogs. So don't try to act like, you know, he was just out there selling dime bags. So when they get to Melissa and Joe's shore house, we find out that Marge is staying with them. And she says, well, Paulie and Dolores are staying over there at Jennifer Aydin's. And Marge's husband, Joe, says something that pissed me off. He said, can you imagine being over there with all those kids screaming and hollering and everything? I said, didn't you and Marge move some woman and her small child into y'all's house? What? Maybe Paulie and Dolores don't mind being around children. I mean, Dolores is the owner of like 17 dogs. It's not as if she's used to pure silence all the time. I thought that was really rude. So John Fuda is back on his bullshit. And I was so pissed off. So Jen Fessler is still friends with Teresa. And John Fuda had the nerve to look at this woman and tell her that she's going to have to pick a side. I said, oh gosh, if this man is not New Jersey's Peter Thomas.
No, let me just say this, girl. Let me just say this, Greg. This is what you need to do. You need to stay out of women's business.
I said, what the shit? Why does he keep doing this? And Rachel was backing the bullshit. She said, yes, I look at you suspect at, you know, someone who would be willing or want to be friends with someone like her. I don't know why they would want to be friends with someone like you and your husband, because you and your husband act like pick-me's. You're acting like two little high school babies. You have to pick teams. That didn't work out for you, you know, at the reunion. Y'all picked teams, all right, and that didn't work out. Not only that, it seems to me that your team now was trying to ice Teresa out in the hopes of getting her fired. That didn't work. And I have a feeling that when next season of Jersey rolls around, it's going to be a new cast. They are definitely going to have to shake up Jersey because this is not working. This is ridiculous here. John talking about he can't associate with people who associate with Teresa. Well, why are you on this show? And is it me, or is John trying to be on TV more? Or do you think it's just his way of trying to keep his wife on the show? I have no idea, but I'm over it. And you know what? I agree with Jen when she says, Jen Fessler, that is, when she says, you know, the rest of the people in this group, you all say crappy things. You always do. She says, I don't agree with Teresa's behavior. But at the same time, if you guys keep going low with her, she's going to go lower with you. And that is true. That is true. When they go low, Teresa does go all the way to hell. She will drag them all the way down to hell. She don't give a shit. That's the problem. They all need to grow up. So when Danielle gets there, they were already sort of talking shit before she rang the doorbell, saying that, you know, she needs to also pick a side. But when she gets there, she asked them nicely if everybody could pretty much be on their best behavior at her husband's celebration. You can tell that she had put a lot of money into this celebration. When you look at that food that was at that party, I said, oh, hell no, she paid a lot of money for all these different types of food, all those charcuterie boards and everything. I said, You know, I seen somebody on Instagram who makes charcuterie boards for a living, and she showed off a charcuterie board that she made that was $1,200. I said, holy shit. I mean, she had to break it down, like how much she paid and how much she, you know, time it put to put this thing together and the travel to the event. I said, oh gosh, she deserved that $1,200. But I tell you what, I'm gonna let y'all know up front, any event I ever have, if you ever receive a charcuterie board that costs more than $100, I didn't pay for that shit. I'm poor. Anyway, moving on. He says, could you guys be on your best behavior? He says, well, I'm a try, but if somebody say something to me. I said, what? This lady is having a celebration of life party for her husband. You as a grown-ass man can't control your attitude. You can't control your temper. You can't control your actions for the length of this party. You don't know how to shut the hell up and walk away as a grown-ass man. This is sad to me. Then on the way to the party, Danielle does explain to them why she didn't invite Jackie. And I don't blame her. She says, I didn't invite Jackie because Jackie and I just can't see eye to eye. Throughout the entire season, she talked terribly about me, about my clothes. She kept calling me stupid, and I just didn't want her here. I don't blame her. Not one bit. You are not going to talk shit about me and then come and eat my charcuterie. No, ma'am. So we meet a new group of girls. Marge, Jen Fessler, Melissa, and Rachel are all sitting around with Danielle, and they're all laughing and talking and joking. This new lady shows up, and Marge says, are you your husband's first wife or second wife? According to them, second wife is an upgrade. I have never had a conversation like that. I have never sat down with a group of girls and then out of the blue just said, hey, I know I just met you. My name's Pia. That's your husband? Uh-huh. Are you his first wife or second wife? I mean, what? Who does that? I thought that was tacky as hell. I really did. And then when Teresa and Jennifer show up. Honey, now listen. Okay. These women, didn't they seem pressed and irritated as hell? I said, oh, what? Teresa walks into the room and we've got eye rolling. We've got, here we go. Serious? And John Fuda, king bitch. You know what I mean? He is doing too damn much. I mean, seriously. At this point, I think that all these ladies are absolutely fortunate that Teresa and Louis decided to stay this season. Because otherwise, what was their storyline going to be? Especially the Fudas. What do you have to bring us besides your arthritis? Because so far, all you've had to bring us is your disdain for Teresa and Louis. John kept saying, it's not fair that she's bringing up my past. You brought up her past. Yes, she went to jail, but she went to jail for following her husband. And that's in her past as well. So if you don't want her to bring up your past, don't bring up hers. Do I think it was right that she brought up his current blog situation? No, considering that she didn't want them bringing up Louis' blog stuff. If you don't want your husband's blog and past brought up, don't bring up somebody else's. I think it's only fair. Both of them should stand down. At some point, Rachel did say that Teresa had zero growth, and I don't think that's true. I mean, I do think that there is, everybody knows I love me some Teresa, but I have to be honest, there is some room for growth. She could switch up and change a little bit and do a little better. I think she has started to do a little better. She's a little more relaxed, but I think Teresa's doing pretty damn good. Her and her husband both went to jail. Her husband got deported. She became a single mom. She raised 4 well-rounded girls, and she did it all on national television. I think she's all right. Leave that woman the hell alone. I seen somewhere online that possibly, allegedly, it's going to be brought out on the show that Evan cheating rumor really was Marge who started it. And maybe that's why Marge and Jackie's friendship breaks up this season. That will be interesting to find out that it was Marge that was behind all of that. I always thought that Marge had a little bit of a hand in that. Now, when Jen Fessler asked Teresa to step aside for a little conversation, it was crazy as hell. Teresa, Marge, and Rachel, plus John Fuda, they were acting a fool. It was as if they were afraid that Jen Fessler was going to tell Teresa something. Didn't it seem that way? Look, Teresa just asked her right out. She said, is it true that you guys all got together to talk about ganging up on me, pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing, at the reunion? And Jen Fessler said, well, what happened was we all met up over at Marge's house. She said it was her husband, Marge and her husband, Melissa and her husband, Rachel and her husband, and Jackie. She said Evan didn't come. And they just sat around talking about, what they were going to say in defense of themselves. They were trying to say, well, if Louis comes back and says this, we're going to say this. And she said that Marge had some sort of tape recording of Louis calling her son's job. And she said, and that was never played. It was never used. And Teresa tells her, on the life of her 4 daughters, Louis never called Marge's son. And I believe her. And Jen Fessler said she wanted to believe her too. But one thing I would say for sure, I never put anything on my child. Even if I know that I am not lying, I never put anything on my kid. Teresa, I'm not saying that Louis called, but how does she know that he really didn't? Because Louis could have called, and you just put that on your girls. Don't do that. Don't do that. Teresa asked her, when you were sitting on the couch at the reunion, did you tell them that the plan didn't go as executed? And she said, no, I told them that they had this big manila envelope John Fuda had. She said he never even used it. He never even pulled it out. I think that that's because that envelope was probably just full of blank pages. He was just trying to act like he had something. Because Lord knows, if these people had something, they would have used it. I think that they really truly thought that they could isolate Teresa and get her fired. I mean, we seen them stall this show out for Teresa. Your antics is not going to get this woman fired. And not only that, I can't remember how many seasons Danielle Staub was on the show, and she had like 1 or 2 people to film with. Everybody else couldn't stand her, but she showed up and she filmed with everyone, and she took on everybody. If anything, they should bring Danielle Staub back. I never thought in my life I would ever say that. And Jen Fessler says something like, I really enjoy Teresa. Maybe this makes me disloyal, but I can't help it. I really like her. I think she has the right to be friends with Teresa if she wants to be. Marge is just acting like she's in charge of the girls. Marge is not in charge of anything. I don't know, you guys. What do you think about these last 2 episodes? How is this season going for you? Right now, the way it's panning out, it's a little bit boring. All the people over here, I hate Teresa. I hate Teresa. I don't want to talk about her. I don't want to talk about her. Don't bring her up. Don't bring her up. But they're bringing her up constantly. It's the separation, just like Potomac. I don't love it. Get down in the comments and let me know what you think. And until next time, bye.